Hi, my name's Molly. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Purpose, where we talk about just that. What's our purpose on this earth? Why are we here? And if you've been following along with me, you know what I think. I think we're put on this planet for two reasons: to love God and to love each other. And when you love somebody, you want to spend time with them. You want to get to know them better. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to spend some time with God today, and we're going to get to know him just a little bit better. And we're going to do that by reading his stories in the Bible, his directions that he left for us. So we left off in Genesis chapter 6. And the beginning, at least, of Genesis chapter 6 is confusing. At least it is for me. I don't know if it is for you. Maybe you're a lot smarter than me and you've got it figured out, but I think it's kind of confusing. And I have a tendency when I get to things that are confusing or I just don't get them, to just skip over it. Or if it's boring, skip over it. But we're not going to do that in these videos. We're just going to dive deep and look at the things that are confusing and try to figure them out. You may not agree with me, and that's okay. Because, you know, I'm human and I could very easily get it wrong. So in chapter 6, it talks about the sons of God are marrying the daughters of man. Could you be a little more clear here, God? What does that even mean? Well, nobody really knows for sure, but the consensus is that the sons of God refer to those people who are from Seth's line, Adam and Eve's son Seth, who are trying to get to know God, and they want to love him, and they want to follow his ways, and they want to build up a relationship with him. Now, it's easier if you're in that group of people to marry other people who are trying to get close to God and who love God and who want to build up a relationship with God, because you can help each other out. But that's not what happened. The sons of God, so the people from Seth's line, both the men and the women, were marrying the daughters of Cain. Now, Cain's line, if you remember, Cain turned away from God. He walked away from God, and he started his own town and his own civilizations, and it was made mostly of people who were just looking out for themselves. Their life was all about them and what they needed and what would make them happy and comfortable, and they didn't give a lot of thought to God, if any. Why the daughters had to be the bad guys here, I don't know. But the daughters of man were from Cain's line, and they were people who weren't trying to get close to God. So these two groups are marrying each other. Men and women from Seth's line marrying men and women from Cain's line. And when you marry somebody who might believe in God, but they're not trying to get closer to him, they don't want to go to church, they don't want to read the Bible, they don't want to talk about God, makes it harder for you. Makes it harder for you to get to know him and for you to get closer to him and for you to grow in your relationship with him. And so that's what's going on here. And later on in the Bible, God's going to talk about intermarrying. And he's going to tell his people, don't intermarry. They're not talking about race or ethnicity, nothing like that. He's talking about don't marry people who don't believe in me and aren't trying to get closer to me, because it's just going to make your life harder. And he knows us. He knows us. He knows we're going to go the easy route. He knows it's way easier to not read the Bible, to not go to church, to not pray, to not meditate on God, to not try to remember him all throughout your day, to not go to him with every little thing. He knows that it's way easier to be lazy in that area. And so he knows, we're just going to start getting further and further away from him. So that's what's happening. People are getting further and further away from God. And the world's just going crazy. And people are just thinking about themselves and their own needs. And if you don't agree with me, well, then you're out, Sounds a little bit like today, doesn't it? And our cancel culture and all the craziness going on today. So that's been going on for 1,000,000 years, this craziness that we're having. Same song, different verse, or however that goes. So God had a plan. it was the same plan he had from the very beginning. God knew a flood was going to come. Flood's a coming. Whether he created that flood and he was going to purposely kill everybody on earth, I don't know. But God decided, I want a do-over. I want to just get rid of all these people and have a do-over and start over. Well, God knew that we were going to fall away from him. He knew that the sons of God would marry the daughters of man. He knew all of that. So this isn't a surprise. This isn't a plan B that he's got with the flood. And I don't even know if he created it. I don't know if that's to be taken literally or not. I don't know. What I do know, a flood is coming, and he's going to allow it to come. Maybe there were lots of other floods that could have come and he stopped them, but this one he's going to allow. And it's going to be a big one, and it's going to kill a lot of people. But there was one fella named Noah, and Noah was a good guy, and Noah loved God, and Noah was trying so hard to build up his relationship with God. And God went to Noah and told him, look, Noah, I'm going to have a big flood. You need to build a boat. And that's what we're going to talk about next time. Noah building this boat up and God helping him do it. But that's hard to swallow, at least for me. That because people didn't have a good relationship with God, he was going to kill them. And I think that's hard for me to swallow, because so many times in my life I haven't had a good relationship. I haven't been working on it. I haven't been trying to get closer to God. And I don't want to be the one in the flood. I want to be Noah. But, you know, truth be told, I would have been one of the people caught up in the flood, I'm sure. So, whether this story is literal or not, I don't know. But I do think the point is, when you believe in God, when you're trying to get close to him, when you're surrounding yourself with other people who believe in God and are trying to get close to him, then life just seems easier. God's talking to you. He's giving you little warnings, and it might not be a big sign that says, hey, a flood's coming, but he'll pop something, just a thought into your head, and he's going to help you. And you'll be receptive to that thought because you're thinking about him. Whereas the people who aren't thinking about him or trying to get close to him aren't going to be receptive to that thought because, you know, God's not a thought in their brain. So what do we do with all these people in our lives who aren't trying to get closer to God, who are just, you know, living their lives the best they can? These are good people. These are kind people. They just don't really have a relationship with God. We need to love them. We need to love them. And I don't think we can preach to people because, you know, that really never works, at least to me. If you come to me and start telling me what I have to do, I'm just going to shut down. But we can love them. We can pray for them really hard every day. And we can show them what God's done for us. We can talk about these YouTube videos in this series and talk about what it's done for your life. Talk about how you were really struggling with something and you went to God and hey, now it's a lot better. Talk to them about God. Get used to using that word, you know, God, in a conversation. The more you talk about God with people, the more comfortable they're going to become with him, and the more they're going to want to get to know him. Not in a preachy way, just telling him what he's done for you. Don't tell people what they need to do. Just tell them what you've been doing. And I think that does wonders. It kind of opens people's eyes to the idea that, hey, maybe God can do that for me. So think about that as you're going throughout your day with maybe some people in your life that are really good, loving, kind people, but maybe they've fallen away from God a little bit. And don't preach at them, but just tell them what God's done for you. Tell them the things you've learned maybe in this little series of videos. But talk to him about God. The more you talk about him, the more casual it becomes and the more easy it becomes. So next time we get together, we're going to talk more about that little sailor Noah and his boat. And I just hope you have the best day today. Bye-bye, everyone.